generous support of my patrons on Patreon. Get some cool perks and help support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. I also recently launched a new channel dedicated to the nuts and bolts of making a living as a creative. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, you can check it out at the link below. Alright, I'm back with the lo-fi setup again. This is one of those topics where I don't want to be a professional presenter. I just want to talk to you as a human being who's been watching the worst images I've seen in my life over the past few months and try to work through some of it. On October 7th, 2023, the Palestinian resistance took the fight to the Israeli occupation and knocked the wind out of them a little bit. For those who somehow aren't aware of the situation in Gaza, the Palestinian people have been subjected...
Wait, what happened in Gaza?
...to a brutal and genocidal occupation for 3/4 of a century. It's a long story, and if you'd like to hear more of it, we put out a First Thought analysis episode a while back that covers the history of Israel and the beginning of their ethnic cleansing campaign. We also did a Deprogram episode with the wonderful people who run decolonizepalestine.com, and another good resource is Ilan Pappé's book, The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. Pappé is an Israeli historian, so before you go accusing me of only suggesting pro-Palestine sources, maybe give that one a read. You can find all these things linked in the description. For those who can't be bothered, here's a very short summary of what led up to this point. As anti-Semitism flared up in Europe in the midst of the World Wars, we also saw the development of the political Zionist movement, which was basically a push to establish a Jewish ethno-state somewhere in the world. That should have been the first red flag. Ethno-states aren't generally a good thing. You might be surprised to learn that Palestine was not the only option on the list. There were multiple other locations considered, on different continents, and all of those places were already occupied. As the evil of fascism threatened Jewish people in Europe, and to a lesser extent the rest of the world, political Zionism won a certain amount of perceived legitimacy, especially among the British elite. In 1948, with the violent support of the British military, the State of Israel was founded on stolen Palestinian land. And it's important to note here that stolen land doesn't mean unoccupied space. It's not like the locals were going, "Ooh, you stole my empty patch of dirt." No. The European invaders forcibly seized critical
Do you have an explanation why criticism of Israel is much stronger in the USA than in Europe? Although Europe is generally less hawkish than the USA, still due to the Second War. Is it? I mean, I don't think so. I think like it's relatively the same. There's a shit ton of people criticizing it. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I feel like this is anecdotal. People are criticizing the shit out of Israel in Europe too. Unless you're talking about Germany, and we don't talk about Germany on this broadcast, okay? I'm done with Germany. Me and Germany, we severed ties, okay?
Farmland, port cities, stretches of coastline, places that were occupied and served a vital role in Palestinian life. Of course, all of this was perfectly legal according to very official pieces of paper, so the colonists could wave off the atrocities they committed to claim the land. One of these documents, UN Resolution 181, gave the settlers 55% of the land, which is made even more absurd by the fact that the UN had no legal right to do so and did not consult with the Palestinian people before adopting the resolution. Unsurprisingly, they were pissed, and war broke out. What followed is today known as the Nakba, or catastrophe. Between 1947 and 1949, some 750,000...
One last thing about Germany, I have to pay a fine of €300 for making your "we should arm Hamas like the IDF" joke on Twitter. No way. You in Germany tried to do a fucking joke theft and you got fucking fined? That's awesome. That's kind of lame. I'm sorry that happened to you, chatter. That's hilarious, though. That is pretty fucking funny. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes, I got fucked in the ass. Holy shit. That sucks. Hasan no longer allowed in Germany. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I'm a goddamn American, okay? Let me tell you something. Well, as long as my internet is still working, holy shit, I keep getting hit with EMPs left and right. Little baby F's happening. Wheezy F baby. Yeah, I don't think people understand. That's not how this goes, baby. That's not how this goes at all. Do you know where I'm from? Do you know how things work? Because let me tell you, I'm from the land of the free. I'm from the home of the brave. I'm a goddamn American citizen. You think those fucking krauts who ate lead and sucked shit during World War motherfucking II that now have to say, please, sir, I will jump for you, but with a German accent? You think those goddamn krauts have anything to tell me? You think that I do not have the passport that says I do whatever the fuck I want? I'm a goddamn American. I defend the goddamn world. I fund the military of the entire Western world, soldier. Do you understand what that means? That means I go to any goddamn country and do whatever the fuck I want. I get drunk, I get loud, and I get proud for the United States of America. Think a goddamn German's gonna tell me I can't say whatever the fuck I want? Don't make me rebuild Israel on top of your goddamn house, Germany. Because if I willed it as a goddamn American, I could. And I probably should have. Okay. Don't make me bring managed democracy to Germany, okay?
1,000 Palestinians were expelled from their ancestral home. The Zionists seized 78% of historic Palestine, ethnically cleansed and bulldozed over 500 villages and cities, and killed at least 15,000 Palestinians in the process. Today, settlers who were there at the time laugh about the atrocities they committed on camera.
עומדת כיתה של זה עם ידיים למעלה, אז באותו יום הייתי רואה אותה, הייתי קוצר את כולם, עד כדי כך.
כמה אתה חושב אנשים הרגת ככה?
לא ספרתי. אני לא יכול לדעת בחיי. היה לי מקלע עם 250 כדורים. ותראה, יריתי, נלחמתי כולם. אני לא יכול לספור.
Years from now, students will write papers comparing the Holocaust and the Nakba, and the racial animus that drove both genocides. And a lot of liberals currently both sidesing this genocide will nod very seriously and say, we just didn't know how bad it was. Just like the good Germans did back in the 40s. It was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now.
Yep.
A lot of people think that the Nakba ended in 1948. It didn't. That was just the first major escalation of a campaign of complete extermination that continues to this day. When you see the Twitter posts saying things like, there was a ceasefire on October 6th, realize that the people saying those things are either ignorant, in which case you can help them by providing resources, or are actively trying to obfuscate the truth. We know Israel has an army of paid posters to disseminate propaganda and shut down criticism online. Since the day the first European colonists set foot in Palestine, there has been a non-stop stream of crimes committed in the name of the political Zionist project. Palestinian homes are regularly and illegally demolished. Palestinians face arbitrary arrests and humiliating checkpoints just getting to school and back. Entire villages are ethnically cleansed specifically for recently migrated European and American Jews to build new settlements on Palestinian land. Again, these settlements are internationally recognized as illegal by international law, and this point is reiterated at every UN summit to no meaningful change. The Gaza Strip, populated by over 2 million people.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's just like, why is their stream going so weirdly? I don't know. I actually don't know what's happening. Like there was a baby outage though.
In an area about the size of Detroit is entirely.
It's been like this all damn week. No, it hasn't. No, this entire week has not been like this at all. This is the first time I'm experiencing these like outages, these like minor outages, and I have no idea why it's happening. It's very annoying though.
Cut off from the rest of the world. All entrances in and out of Gaza are controlled by the Israeli military. Imports and exports are heavily restricted, and employment opportunities.
Why does it matter where the settlers come from Europe? Does that make them worse than Mizrahi settlers? I don't think so. I think like a lot of Americans try to understand this from the same framework of like white-black dynamics of white supremacy. That's probably what it is. I think that's why they keep talking about like Ashkenazi Jews. But when JT's talking about it, he's basically talking about it from the perspective of history.
These are essentially non-existent. Nearly all water resources are undrinkable by design, and civilian infrastructure is regularly targeted by Israeli airstrikes. Permits are routinely denied for the building of homes, civilian infrastructure, roads, sewage systems, and schools. Call it what it is, a concentration camp. If you force a population into an...
Mizrahis are effectively white in the same way Sicilians are. Be for fucking real? No. They're Arab in the same way that like Arabs are white. If that's what you're talking about, then like Mizrahis are Arab, dog. That's like, it's crazy.
An enclosed area. You control the food, the water, electricity, fuel, medicine, literally everything that goes in or out. If you put a high-tech fence around it with facial recognition and automated guns, if you routinely kill the people inside to further your goal of an ethno-state, what separates you from the Nazis? It's hard not to get angry when you're talking about this stuff because it's so incredibly obvious who the bad guys are. And yet Israel dumps massive sums of money into pretending they're the victims. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a victim who can shut off their oppressor's food, water, power, and ability to move freely on a whim. So now I'm going to have to make an assumption, because I'm not going to waste my time trying to win over people who still think Israel is in the right, when they've seen all the same footage that I've seen. Either you're a decent person, or you're not. So the assumption I'm going to make is that if you're still watching this video, you're one of those decent people. We're on the same page. What's happening in Gaza is the most blatant example of genocide in modern history. For the rest of the video, I want to talk about...
We need to be careful about comparisons to the Holocaust, but I don't know what other context you could put something like this in. I mean, there's like plenty of other genocides that you can point to, but like the Holocaust is the most visible one that everyone knows of. Like if you talk about like what the Belgians did in the Congo, people don't fucking know or give a shit about it. You know what I mean? Or even the Armenian genocide, as a matter of fact. But I think like a big part of the reason why people bring up the Holocaust, because Israel brings up Holocaust. Like defenders of Israel bring up the Holocaust all the fucking time. A big part of the reason for Israel's existence and then the violent ways that it exists, unironically, is as a defense of a potential future Holocaust. That's what they say. Which is why I think people go, what do you mean the Holocaust, brother? You are doing something comparable now. Obviously not to the same severity, but still. If there is a mechanized machine of death here against a marginalized population that it is unjustifiably destroying, then you're closer to the Nazis in the Holocaust analogy. No matter how hard you try to fucking claim that like every Palestinian baby has like mind control powers or whatever, and that's and they are like the most rabid anti-Semites or some shit.
What that means. What does it tell us when a country like Israel can commit these monstrous acts and face zero consequences? When it can be condemned by the vast majority of the world, including institutions like the UN, and get away with it? When we see this on Twitter, and the Western press still says that this is all Palestine's fault. It takes 34 seconds of scrolling just to get to the names of children 1 year old. To put the scale of Israel's crimes against children in perspective, in the final years of the war, when Germany was really ramping up their extermination campaign, the Nazis killed 127 children per day.
Have you ever covered in-depth Plan Dalet on your channel? It's basically in writing what the Zionists wanted to do. Yes, of course I have. Yes, of course.
In Auschwitz. Israeli occupation forces are now killing 139 children per day. At time of writing, Israel has killed over 27,000 Palestinians in 4 months. Compare that to the 15,000 killed over a 2-year period during the Nakba. And yet, despite those numbers, despite the massive rallies for Palestine around the world, despite politicians getting shoes thrown at them and trade being disrupted, we still hear nothing from the corporate media. And we can't seem to budge the leaders of the Western world. Why? The easy answer is that Israel serves the interest of the United States. Here's Joe Biden back in the 1980s.
There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region.
He's pretty wild how big of a, like, he is unironically one of the biggest dick riders of Israel and has been for so long. What do you think Ethan would say about this? Since he thinks JT's a thing, I don't care, dude. Like, that's such a silly way to approach internet content, okay? I said back then that I like JT and that I think that it would be better for him to defend his positions. I'm not trash talking Ethan at all, by the way. Like, for people who try to fucking consistently turn this into like drama farming. Ethan is my friend. We may have disagreements every now and then, but I have maintained the position that his heart is always in the right place and he's on a journey of learning. And as far as second thought goes, I think that if they had a conversation, it would be he could describe his position better and clarify his perspective. I also do despise like this attitude in this community of like the long-term community members who just didn't fucking like leftovers, who are so rabid. Like, you guys did absolutely contribute. Just so you know, you did. You did. Y'all are rabid as fuck. You do not know how to behave tactfully. You do not know how to behave strategically. You do not know how to behave in general. You think it's like moral consistency, and you personally think that it's like you're doing something revolutionary. You're not. Yeah, this community wonders why people are afraid of collaborating with you. Yeah, my long-term community members and subscribers, I love you all for your support over the course of many, many years, but you do sometimes have a tendency to behave in a rabid manner and operate in the most like purity-focused ways possible. Nobody ever thinks about the impact of certain things. Nobody ever thinks about the impact of having a show like Leftovers that goes to a much broader audience. You know who thinks about that, though? People who fucking despise my commentary. They think about it all the time. They hated it for that very same reason. And that's precisely the reason why they worked very hard, tirelessly to fucking end it. So it's odd to see, the handshake emoji happen from my most rabid and longest supporters and my most rabid and longest haters. In terms of, taking out another opportunity for a much larger audience to see in a positive way, what a broader audience of normies could see leftist commentary and an introduction to leftist commentary. Anyway.
The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
The U.S. and its vassal states depend on having strategic footholds all over the world. Israel is crucial in that regard, serving as a destabilizing force in the region, a useful intelligence outpost, a hub for Western personnel, and, of course, a lucrative trade partner, especially when it comes to weapons of war. But still, when the backlash is this intense, when politicians are being harassed wherever they go, when activists are shutting down weapons plants, blocking ships bound for Israel, when Biden's approval rating is the lowest of any modern president, wouldn't it just be easier to give some concessions? To give Israel a slap on the wrist and make them stop the worst of their atrocities for at least a little while? This is how normal people think. This is not how world leaders, fascists, and oligarchs think. Joe Biden, as mentally unfit as he is for the job, is still the President of the United States. He is the most powerful man in the world. Things like civilian casualties are nothing more than one of many pieces of paper that cross his desk on any given day. People hating him is part of the job. International crises are part of the job. He, like every other president, sees the rest of us as NPCs, little Sims running around his country. We're insignificant. If we have a little red angry face over us, he can pull some levers and distract the majority of people with war over Ukraine or Taiwan, or even just ignore them for a few months. And this isn't to rag on the average person. Most people are busy. We don't have the time to get to the bottom of every geopolitical issue. It's just to say that when you are in a position of power, you have options to make your problems go away. And sometimes you don't even need to do anything at all, and the noisy troublemakers will eventually get bored and move on. What recourse do we have in a situation like that? It's easy to say, we just need to dismantle capitalism and destroy the perverse incentives that enable this genocide. But that's not a realistic solution in the short term. I'm talking specifically about the
Political philosophy has run rampant in every single White House since Nixon. It's going to be studied and talked about for centuries from now. I don't think that we operate we don't ever collaborate with foreign adversaries as openly as Henry Kissinger did, though. I think we're way more aggro. You know what I saw this morning when I first woke up? Barack Obama talking about whether he would negotiate with foreign adversaries. Does anyone have that video? Maybe it showed up on your Twitter feed as well, since our Twitter feeds are mostly aligned for the most part. You might have seen that as well. I forget who posted it. I love everyone going, I don't use Twitter. Okay. Yeah, that's what a strong nation does. It was during the primaries in 2008. Yep. Barack Obama was asked during the primaries in 2008 and very, very solidly and in a very charismatic way planted his feet 10 toes down and said, of course I would negotiate with our foreign adversaries. That's crazy. And then he did the most charismatic Barack Obama thing you can do, which was to turn around and say that if you like watching the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, you can keep it. But if you don't want to watch it, then guess what? You can subscribe for $5 or for free. And pussy too. You can also get gifted a sub. Call that universal healthcare. No, this is not it. Let us never fear to negotiate. Obama quoting Kennedy at Institute of Dedication. That's not the one. Your Obama impersonation is terrible. That's because I'm not racist, dog. That's why. I can't impersonate a black man. That's what it is. We killed some folks. Stop, you U.S. wannabe leftism. Yes, my wannabe leftism, my wannabe U.S. leftism. A little bit more vocal fry on the and pussy too, and pussy too. See my fucking name? Yes, dude. Anarcho-syndicalist 1312. Ooh, he's going to toss a Molotov cocktail at a cop car, okay? The real left is here, guys. A 14-year-old who still doesn't know how to read. The perfect anarchist. I love that Cinemarxism is also an anarchist, but yet he doesn't claim he is. He doesn't he acts like he's not, and even has his own emote that's anti-anarchist. He is right about Nithya, though, to be fair. And the fucking council members that are like pro-Israel. Which I hate to admit. Just hate to admit it, but, you know, not wrong. I'm third-gen socialist. You are TYT shit. Inexcusable. Thank you for mentioning that, bro. Yeah, he's fucking hate to admit that, but he's right about that. I meant Marxism and surprisingly doesn't smell bad. Yeah, of course it doesn't smell bad. What the fuck? If he was that crusty of an anarchist, I would not work with him, okay? If he was that crusty of an anarchist, he wouldn't work, first of all. My man said, I'm third-gen socialist. Like, it's been passed down genetically. Socialism is in his genes, dude. Oh, Jesus. Okay, dude. I'm glad to know that your grandpappy didn't take showers either, okay? He's like, my grandfather never showered. My dad also didn't shower, and I am continuing the tradition of not showering. Hey, Achilles, thank you for the 10 gift subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. The unjustifiable hierarchy strikes once again. Anyway. Is this the Obama? Oh my God. This is literally 1p. Chad, this is how we used to see the television.
And the reason is this, that the notion that somehow not talking to countries is punishment to them, which has been the guiding diplomatic principle of this administration, is ridiculous. Now, Ronald Reagan and Democratic presidents like JFK constantly spoke to Soviet Union at a time when Ronald Reagan called them an evil empire. And the reason is because they understood that we may not trust them, they may pose an extraordinary danger to this country, but we have the obligation to find areas where we can potentially move forward.
Yeah, this was his position. And to a certain degree, he did hit that line. What happened to the Anson 1312? I love, my granddad was in prison for helping socialists and Jews. My dad and mother sent money to Vietnam. What was your fascist family doing? Killing Kurds? Yeah. I love this chatter, and I mean it unironically. I love him. Or them. I don't know. No, he's still talking about his family, dude. Like, what are you doing, brother? That's what you're gonna turn him into a right winger. Yeah, he's gonna go from anarcho-syndicalism to Trotskyism to being a Laroshite and inevitably a neocon. Okay, it's gonna happen. But I'm not even joking. I do love that guy. Like, it's not even a joke. And I don't think you guys should pile on him. I do love people like this. All jokes aside, like, people like that do a lot of they're the guys that have like they're the dudes that have like that are always at the forefront of mutual aid, things like that. I'm Antifa and I hate you guys. Vosh Desterny. Okay, this is the most 14-year-old anarchist I've ever seen, though. Online anarchists do not do groundwork. They post GoFundMes on Twitter. Okay, fair. Some of them. Is the kind of dude to show up to a DSA meeting with a water balloon? Yeah, no. When you're such a puritanical anarchist that you believe the greatest enemy, what have you done but get rich? Great question. There is a long list of things that I've done, but I think the greatest thing that I've done is fuck your mom, chatter. Like, I love that you went, my granddad was in prison for helping socialists and Jews, and my dad and mother sent money to Vietnam. Like, your dad and mother as bona fides are sending money to Vietnam, and you're sitting here not even thinking a little bit about the amount of funds that I've raised, not only for labor unions, but also on top of that, direct victims of imperialism in the third world. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of clearing your dad and mom right now pretty hard. If the only thing they got is sending money to Vietnam, okay? But the end all be all is like, you're roasting a child, calm down. It's true. It's true. I shouldn't do that. Also, I don't know what he's done, but then again, it's because they're 14, so they have a long way to go. You are nothing but a creep online. I still love you, chatter. I think you're a little bit misguided. When you learn to read, things are going to look up for you. Okay? Once you figure out reading, oh my God, dude. Life is going to change for you dramatically. I suggest Lenin. I suggest Engels first. An infantile disorder, and then you can pick up maybe start off with Lenin, and oh my God, so you are a bigot. Wait, what? Wait, why am I a bigot? Okay, I'm enjoying this conversation way too much. I've read Lenin before you were born. You were not alive when I was born. And that is me being charitable to you because you cannot be this much of a meme, this much of like a extremely online wrecker anarchist. Oh God, I really don't want. No, you should not have admitted that. Truly an infantile disorder. At least you stay young. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no, he is crusty as hell. Oh no. There ain't no way big homie is 44 years old. I thought 14. I already ran the top of the hour. Bro, if you're 44 years old and you're still talking about your parents' accomplishments as far as like your leftist bona fides, I'm gonna be honest with you, you got to get to work, dog. Like you're a 44-year-old anarchist? God damn, dude. Anarchists really don't want to work, huh? They're just fucking allergic. I'm Antifa. You are not good at this argument. Yeah, you're doing anti-fascism here. Please ignore the hate comments. Come on, this is not a hate comment. We're just having fun. My granddad got beat up, but fun. I love this guy. Okay, let's get back to second thought.
We don't have anywhere near the level of class consciousness needed to build a revolution. Not in a timely manner, at least. So we find ourselves in a position where it looks like evil has won. Where no matter what we do, Israel is still going to bomb Gaza, and the US is still going to give them the bombs, and the media is still going to say that your eyes are lying to you, and it's actually the Israelis who are the victims. That sounds pretty bleak. And it is. There's no denying that this is a pretty grim timeline. The United States is a tremendous force for evil in the world. There's a reason it's the most hated country on Earth, and there's a reason most Americans aren't aware of that fact. But here's the thing, and this might sound a little flowery at first, but bear with me. Even though evil may seem like it's won, even though the US and Israel may seem impossible to overcome, there will come a day when historians can look back and soberly assess the crimes of these regimes as past projects. The US empire is on the decline. I made a video about that a little while back. It cannot sustain itself the way it has since the post-war years. The United States as we know it today will fade. It may not disappear completely, but its relevance will wane. Israel will go the way of Rhodesia and apartheid South Africa. As long as projects like these are reviled and opposed by the majority of working people, they will eventually succumb to the weight of their own contradictions. And there's a fine line to walk between this is inevitable and this cannot last forever. Assuming something is inevitable is not the correct approach. That leads to complacency. But recognizing that evil cannot stand against the determination of the masses forever, that's inspiring. That leads to people getting involved, joining organizations, actively working to prevent things like what's happening in Gaza. Hope and determination is the right approach, not complacency, and certainly not doomerism. Yes, it's incredibly painful to watch the footage coming out of Palestine. Yes, it's normal to feel overwhelmed or helpless. But all you have to do is search the words Palestine March or Rally, and you'll be reminded that millions and millions of ordinary people just like us are making a difference. We're helping get food and medicine to people who need it. We're educating our peers. And most importantly, we're scaring the criminals enabling this genocide, whether they admit it or not. Another thing to consider is that even though there are something like 40% of Americans who still support Israel, that number is dropping. Ugopnik made a fantastic video a few weeks ago about the era of war crime influencers, where he talked about this bizarre need the occupation forces seem to have to broadcast their hideous war crimes to the world. I'm sure you've heard the quote, "Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake." The Israeli apartheid regime is making a mistake by not cracking down on their stormtroopers blasting their war crimes out on TikTok. No one on earth can watch these freaks cackling about blowing up homes and...
Okay. Back to the anarcho-syndicalist chatter. You love Destiny. I saw he was a bigot, which was a wild thing to say. I'm not scared of a U.S. liberal. You support capitalisme and did not pay your worker or spread your wealth. Here we are with your Vosh-like cultist. I keep having to untime him out because Fossabot keeps clapping him. He did. He destroyed me. Am I wrong, little boy? Yes. I don't even understand why this person thinks I like Destiny. That chatter has the most fucked up YouTube algo, I'm calling it. I don't understand how someone can be a 44-year-old person who's like this brain broken and this oblivious to like any of my positions, anything I've ever done, but yet this passionate about his anger. I think pretty much every single thing you've brought up so far, including really funny things like claiming that I like Destiny, who was probably my number one cyber stalker and will most likely be my number one cyber stalker. I don't really know how you can get everything so wrong. Like everything you have thought about me, I'm almost certain is the exact opposite. Anarchists are so based. No, 100%. As a fan of H-Bomber, etc., I was a fan of H-Bomber, etc., and you online leftists are just here for YouTube money. I think this is your issue, that you mistake people that are doing propaganda for the left as anything but propagandists, and you think they're supposed to be revolutionary figures. I am genuinely enjoying this because he's like Jesse Lee Peterson way, like he's out there in the same way that like Jesse Lee Peterson is. In the past, socialists at least had the decency to start hating anarchists after the revolution. Yes. I don't think this guy is trolling. I think he might genuinely be like a 44-year-old French anarchist or something. which is awesome. Danish anarchist. Okay. My love for you grows ever more. Every single new thing you type in the chat makes me like you even more. And I don't even mean that ironically. I'm not saying this sarcastically. I legitimately mean this. Denmark is a racist hellhole, but I try. You're definitely one of the better leftist propagandists in the U.S., no fucking doubt. I like to think so, but... Wait, you love this crusty motherfucker? Yeah, I love anarchists. The fuck do you mean? I think, like, if you spend enough time in this community, you probably recognize that, like, almost every single joke I make about the left and the divisions within the extremely online left still ultimately comes from a place of love, unless we're talking about debate pedophiles, in which case there's no love there. But for the most part, yeah, like, I mean, I make jokes about anarchists being crusty. I make jokes about Marxist Leninists being annoying and also engaging in oftentimes, maybe sometimes, historical revisionism or fantasizing about a existing real world of socialism that was actually perfect. Like existing real socialism that was definitely infallible and perfect, and that like we have to go back to that same era without any consideration for the current material conditions whatsoever. You know what I mean? I want to know what gave them the impression that you're friends with D. I don't know, but I love him regardless. This is a good summary of this debate. My friend just showed me the scene from a German film last year, and now I need to see the full film. I'm a communist, and what are you? I'm an anarchist. Cool, we can be friends until the revolution. After that, it gets difficult. Yeah. Like, see? Look. I had a Palestina flag in my window since 2004, but I also have an LGBT flag and the Kurdish flag. Cool, man. I'm glad you're doing your part with your flags in Denmark. It's great. What is this? Dude, he is standing next to Destiny. No, I dislike Pac-Man, but he is no Destiny. What? Is this the guy? No. How the fuck did you all find his Twitter account? Okay, we're done. I think that's why. I think that is the reason why he thinks I'm friends with this fucking guy. Can we move on? Colorado is under attack from a Chinese spy balloon. Another Chinese spy balloon. God damn it. Finally, I did it after hours. Hey, Felix Biederman, first discovery. Let's go. Yeah, brother, let me tell you something, okay? That image has led you astray. This is from a very long time ago. I hope you understand. Denland. Bro, it's really funny how you have haters in every camp. You have a knack for drawing out people's insecurities. Joe, many liberals does it take to change a log by bulb? None. They're too busy. Their gender. I love that. Okay, stop posting your fucking additional information. The left is destroyed. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue with this. I forgot where I was. I'm heading out to in the Subi with my rifle. Ain't letting no damn liberal Chinese commie balloon in this state. These mountains will stay free. Okay, stop voluntarily giving out your information in front of 20,000 people, anarcho-syndicalist chatter. That's ridiculous. You're being crazy.
Murdering children without at least a little bit of cognitive dissonance. Even the staunchest supporters of Israel are squirming just a little bit. Except, of course, the ones paid handsomely not to squirm. Israel has shown the world what it represents. It stands for genocide, apartheid, ethno-nationalism, a fascistic desire to cleanse a land they believe belongs to them, and build pizza places and hotels on the graves of the indigenous population. No matter how hard the colonists try to erase the past by destroying mosques, universities, burial sites, entire villages, they can never convince anyone but themselves that they are indigenous to the land they are so callously destroying. Uprooting trees, salting the earth, poisoning the water. Native populations don't do that to the land they love. So let them show the world who they are and what they stand for. Every video posted to TikTok, every piece of propaganda debunked. It will all go in the history books when inevitably this genocidal regime is relegated to the dustbin of history. The only way to ensure a bright and peaceful future in the region is to reestablish Palestine as it was before the Zionist project. A multicultural, multi-faith community with roots reaching far back into history. A beautiful past that should be celebrated, not bulldozed and turned into a theme park. Not ethnically cleansed and its history rewritten to fit some modern myth. As much as evil will try to win, its own inhumanity will be its destruction. The world sees Israel for what it really is, and one day will remember Israel for what it really was. These days, it's pretty hard to find someone who will admit they supported Rhodesia or apartheid South Africa, but they're still around, pretending like they didn't act just like the supporters of Israel are acting today. So, what happens when evil wins? Evil doesn't win. At least,
I don't agree with you on everything, but overall you have very rational takes and I appreciate your impact you've had on the commentary in the U.S. I hadn't even heard the perspective of the Palestinians before your coverage, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people who would say the same. Well, that's my goal. What is this? I'm Antifa and fought Sargon. Come incels. Love TYT, so this is a scheme. There's no way you're still looking at this chatter. Brother, he is literally delivering. Okay? You love the gray wolves, he said. Yes. Me, a big, huge fan. Unironic, huge fan. Dude, listen.